Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Cosmic Blueprints Astrology. I'm Sino, and today we're exploring Cancer, the fourth sign of the zodiac, the crab. If Aries initiates, Taurus builds, and Gemini connects, Cancer nurtures, protects, and creates emotional security. This water sign brings us sensitivity, intuition, and the profound capacity to care for ourselves and others. Cancer season runs from June 21st through July 22nd, beginning the summer solstice in the northern hemisphere, the longest day of the year, when the sun reaches its peak before beginning to wane. This timing reflects Cancer's connection to cycles, tides, and the rhythms of life itself. This is the nurturer of the zodiac, the mother archetype, the one who creates home and emotional sanctuary. Cancer teaches us about emotional intelligence, the importance of roots and belonging, and the courage it takes to be vulnerable and feel deeply in a world that often values toughness over tenderness. In this video, we'll dive deep into everything Cancer, from its ruling luminary, the moon, and watery nature, to how this sign expresses itself across different areas of life. We'll explore both the gifts and challenges of Cancer energy, its expression in various chart placements, and how to work with the sensitive, protective, deeply feeling force in your own life. So get comfortable, settle into your feelings, and let's explore the tender, powerful world of the crab. Cancer is represented by the crab, a creature that carries its home on its back and has both a soft, vulnerable interior and a hard, protective shell. This imagery is essential to understanding Cancer, the interplay between vulnerability and protection, softness and defense, openness and retreat. The crab moves sideways rather than straight forward, which reflects Cancer's indirect, intuitive approach to life. They sense their way through situations emotionally rather than charging ahead logically. The crab also lives where water meets land, symbolizing Cancer's ability to navigate both the emotional realm and practical reality. The protective shell represents Cancer's famous defensiveness. When they feel threatened, they retreat into their shell or come out with claws extended. But beneath that protection is extraordinary sensitivity and tenderness. Understanding this dynamic is key to understanding Cancer energy. Cancer is a water sign, and this element is fundamental to its nature. Water represents emotions, intuition, the subconscious, and the flowing, connecting quality of feeling. Water signs experience life through their feelings, navigate by emotional truth, and understand the undercurrents beneath surface appearances. They're the sign that feel, nurture, and create emotional bonds. The modality of Cancer is cardinal. This surprises people who think of Cancer as passive or purely receptive, but cardinal energy initiates. Cancer begins summer, and Cancer energy actively creates emotional security, initiates nurturing, and takes charge of creating home and family. This is leadership through care, initiative through protection. This combination of cardinal water makes Cancer an emotional leader, someone who initiates care, creates safe spaces, and actively builds emotional foundations. Where Aries initiates action, Cancer initiates connection and care. This is proactive nurturing, not passive receptivity. Cancer is ruled by the moon, the only sign ruled by a luminary rather than a planet. The moon governs our emotional nature, instincts, needs, memories, and sense of security. It represents the mother, the inner child, and our most fundamental emotional patterns. The moon doesn't have its own light. It reflects the sun's light, just as Cancer reflects and responds to the emotional environment around them. The moon's phases, waxing and waning, full and dark, mirror Cancer's emotional fluctuations and their deep connection to cycles and rhythms. In astrology, the moon represents what we need to feel safe, nurtured, and emotionally fulfilled. It's our automatic emotional responses, our unconscious patterns, and how we give and receive care. Cancer, under the moon's rulership, embodies all these qualities naturally. The moon's influence explains Cancer's emotional sensitivity and intuitive abilities. They pick up on emotional undercurrents the way the moon pulls the tides. They're naturally empathic, often feeling others' emotions as if they were their own. This gift can also be a burden if they don't learn to distinguish their feelings from those they're absorbing from others. The moon also rules memory, which explains why Cancer has such strong connections to the past. They remember everything, especially emotional experiences. They collect memories, photos, mementos, and stories. The past lives vividly in them, influencing their present in ways they may not fully recognize. Cancer's connection to the moon also explains their need for regular emotional retreats and renewal. Just as the moon has its dark phase, Cancer needs time alone to process feelings, recharge emotionally, and withdraw from the world's demands. This isn't weakness, it's essential care. The moon's changeable nature is reflected in Cancer's mood fluctuations. Their emotions ebb and flow like tides, influenced by countless subtle factors. Learning to ride these emotional waves rather than being overwhelmed by them is part of Cancer's journey. So let's explore the defining characteristics of Cancer energy. These qualities will manifest differently depending on where Cancer appears in your chart, but the fundamental essence remains recognizable. So firstly, it's emotional depth and sensitivity. Cancer feels everything deeply. They have rich emotional lives and the capacity to experience the full spectrum of human feeling. The sensitivity is both a gift and a challenge. It allows profound empathy and connection, but can also lead to feeling overwhelmed or hurt easily. It's nurturing and caregiving. Cancer has a natural instinct to care for others. They want to feed you, comfort you, and make sure you're okay. They show love through taking care of practical and emotional needs. They're the friend who brings soup when you're sick, or who remembers your birthday, or who checks in when you're going through something difficult. It's strong intuition. Cancer possesses powerful intuitive abilities. They sense things about people and situations that others miss. They often know how someone is feeling before that person consciously knows it themselves. Learning to trust these intuitive hits is important for Cancer. It's loyalty and devotion. Once you're in a Cancer's inner circle, they're fiercely loyal. They're devoted to family, close friends, and loved ones, often putting these relationships above their own needs. Betraying a Cancer's trust is serious. They don't forget, and they may never fully trust you again. Its connection to home and family. Cancer is the sign most associated with home, family, and domestic life. They need a safe, comfortable home base. They often have strong ties to family of origin and may live near family or maintain close family connections. Creating home, whether traditional family or chosen family, is central to their well-being. Its protectiveness. Cancer is fiercely protective of those they love. They'll defend their people with surprising strength. This protective instinct extends to themselves as well. When threatened, they either retreat into their shell or come out fighting with the sharp crab claws. Its tenacity and persistence. Despite their soft appearance, Cancer is remarkably tenacious. Like the crab that holds on with its claws, Cancer doesn't give up easily, especially regarding things or people they care about. They have quiet strength and surprising staying power. Its connection to the past. So Cancer has strong ties to memory, history, and tradition. They value family stories, keep photo albums, and often collect antiques or family heirlooms. The past feels alive and present to them in ways it doesn't for other signs. So every sign has its challenges, and understanding Cancer's shadow side is essential for growth and self-awareness. These aren't flaws to condemn, but areas for conscious development. So firstly, it's excessive moodiness. Cancer's emotional fluctuations can become problematic when they're extreme or unpredictable. Others may feel like they're walking on eggshells, never knowing which mood they'll encounter. Learning to manage and communicate about emotional states is important. It's passive aggressiveness. When Cancer doesn't feel safe expressing emotions directly, they can become passive aggressive, so sulking, giving the silent treatment, or manipulating through guilt. Direct communication, even when it's uncomfortable, is healthier than indirect emotional manipulation. It's oversensitivity and taking things personally. Cancer can interpret neutral situations as personal attacks. They may read negative intentions into innocent actions or become hurt by things that weren't meant to wound. Developing thicker skin without losing their sensitivity is a delicate balance. It's clinging and codependency. The desire for emotional security can manifest as emotional dependency or refusing to let go of relationships, situations, or even belongings that no longer serve them. Learning healthy attachment and appropriate release is crucial. It's living in the past. Cancer's connection to memory can become dwelling on the past, so holding grudges, unable to forgive, or remaining emotionally stuck in earlier life phases. Moving forward while honoring the past is an important lesson for them. It's martyrdom and self-sacrifice. Cancer's nurturing can become unhealthy self-sacrifice, giving until they're depleted and then resenting others for not reciprocating. Learning to care for themselves as generously as they care for others is essential. It's smothering. The desire to nurture can become controlling or smothering, especially with children or partners. Not everyone wants or needs the level of care Cancer wants to provide. Respecting others' boundaries and autonomy is important. And finally, it's defensive and self-protective. The protective shell can become a prison, keeping Cancer isolated and preventing genuine connection. Being too defended means missing opportunities for intimacy and growth. Learning when it's safe to be vulnerable requires discernment. The key to working with these shadow aspects is developing emotional intelligence, learning healthy boundaries, and balancing self-care with care for others. Cancer energy expresses uniquely depending on where it appears in your natal chart. So let's explore the key placements. Cancer Sun. Your core identity is nurturing, protective, and emotionally oriented. You're here to develop emotional intelligence, create safety and belonging, and learn to honor your feelings. Your life purpose involves nurturing yourself and others, building emotional foundations, and showing others the strength in sensitivity. You shine when you're caring for others and creating emotional sanctuary. Cancer Moon. The moon is at home in Cancer, giving you deep emotional sensitivity and strong intuitive abilities. Your emotional needs center on security, family, and belonging. You need to feel safe to open up emotionally. You have excellent emotional memory and strong maternal instincts. Your emotional nature is fundamentally nurturing but also requires regular periods of retreat. Cancer Rising. You approach life through your feelings and intuition. Others see you as caring, sensitive, and protective. You may have a round face or soft features, and your demeanor puts people at ease. Your life path involves developing emotional authenticity, creating home and families, literal or metaphorical, and learning to balance vulnerability with protection. The moon is your chart ruler, making its placement especially important. Cancer Mercury. You think and communicate through emotional intelligence. Your mind is intuitive rather than purely logical. You remember emotional details and personal stories. You communicate best when there's emotional safety and connection. Your thinking is influenced by your emotional state, and you may struggle with objective detachment. Cancer Venus. You're attracted to emotional depth, security, and nurturing in your relationships. You express love through caring for others' needs, creating comfortable domestic environments, and emotional attentiveness. You need a partner who appreciates your sensitivity and provides emotional security. You may idealize relationships and can be possessive of loved ones. Cancer Mars. Your drive and energy are expressed through emotional motivation. You pursue what makes you feel secure and what you care about deeply. Your anger is tied to feeling unsafe or when loved ones are threatened. You may avoid direct conflict but are fierce when protecting those you love. Your energy fluctuates with your emotional state. Cancer Jupiter. Your growth and expansion come through nurturing, emotional development, and creating family or community. You find wisdom through emotional experience and intuitive knowing. Your luck often manifests through family, home, or helping professions. You believe in the power of care, compassion, and emotional connection to create positive change. Cancer Uranus. You experience breakthroughs through emotional liberation and unconventional approaches to family, home, or nurturing. You may rebel against traditional family structures or create unique definitions of home and belonging. You need emotional freedom and may have unusual or erratic emotional patterns. You're learning to balance security needs with need for independence. Cancer Neptune. Your spirituality is expressed through compassion, emotional transcendence, and universal love. You may have difficulty with emotional boundaries or tendency to merge with others' feelings. There's potential for profound empathic and healing abilities. You're learning to balance emotional openness with healthy boundaries and to channel sensitivity into spiritual service. Cancer Pluto. You experience profound transformation through emotional crises, family dynamics, or confronting deep feelings. You have intense emotional depth and the ability to navigate psychological shadows. Your relationship with security, family, and belonging undergoes deep changes throughout life. You're learning to transform emotional wounds into healing power and to release control stemming from fear. The house where you have Cancer in your chart shows the life area where you're meant to nurture, create emotional security, and honor your feelings. This is where you'll need to feel safe and where you can provide care for others. Cancer in relationships is devoted, nurturing, and deeply loyal. They don't love lightly. When Cancer loves, it's with their whole heart. They want to build a life together, create a home, and establish deep emotional intimacy. Relationships aren't casual for Cancer. They're looking for lasting emotional connection. In love, Cancer shows affection through acts of care, so cooking, creating comfortable spaces, remembering important details, and being emotionally present. They need partners who appreciate their sensitivity and don't mock or dismiss their feelings. Emotional safety is non-negotiable. Cancer needs security in relationships, both emotional and often material. They want to know where they stand and struggle with ambiguity or mixed signals. They need reassurance and demonstrations of commitment. Once they feel secure, they're incredibly giving and devoted. The Cancer approach to conflicts is often to retreat initially, needing time to process their feelings before discussing issues. They may shut down if they feel attacked or unsafe. Creating emotionally safe containers for working through problems is essential. They remember emotional wounds for a long time, so care in conflict is important. Compatible signs often include fellow water signs Scorpio and Pisces who understand emotional depth and intuitive connection. Earth signs Taurus and Virgo can also work well, providing the stability and practical care that Cancer appreciates. The opposition sign Capricorn can be either complementary or challenging, offering the structure and ambition that balances Cancer's emotional focus. Fire signs might find Cancer too sensitive or moody, while Cancer can feel burned by fire's directness. Air signs might seem emotionally detached to Cancer, while Cancer's emotional intensity can feel heavy to air. However, with maturity and mutual understanding, any combination can work. The key for Cancer in relationships is learning to communicate their needs directly, balancing giving with receiving, and developing security from within rather than depending entirely on external sources. Cancer energy thrives in careers involving nurturing, caregiving, emotional intelligence, and creating safe spaces. They need work that feels meaningful emotionally and allows them to care for others in some capacity. So ideal careers include healthcare, so nursing, counseling, therapy, social work, where they can directly care for people's well-being. They excel in education, particularly early childhood education, where their nurturing nature serves young children beautifully. Hospitality and food service also appeal to Cancer, so restaurants, hotels, event planning, anything creating experiences of comfort and nourishment. Cancer also shines in real estate and interior design, helping people find and create homes. They're natural historians, genealogists, or museum curators, preserving and sharing the past. Writing, particularly memoir or family stories, can be fulfilling for Cancer's connection to memory and emotion. Non-profit work or humanitarian fields attract many Cancers. They want work to make a positive difference in people's lives. They're also drawn to marine biology or environmental conservation, particularly related to water and coastal ecosystems. Any profession involving memory, history, or tradition suits Cancer, so archivists, librarians, antique dealers. They're also natural photographers, particularly family and portrait photography that captures meaningful moments. The key for Cancer professionally is finding work that feels emotionally meaningful and allows them to express their caring nature. They're not motivated purely by money or status. They need to feel their work matters and helps people. Cancer's life purpose often involves teaching others about emotional intelligence, creating safe spaces where people can be vulnerable, and showing that sensitivity and caring are strengths, not weaknesses. They're here to nurture, to remember, and to remind us that we all need to belong. So how do you work with Cancer energy? Whether you're a Cancer or want to work with this energy consciously, here are practical ways to harness the crab's power. For Cancer individuals or strong Cancer placements, firstly, honor your need for emotional retreats without isolating yourself completely. Then develop healthy emotional boundaries. You can be compassionate without absorbing others' pain. Then practice expressing feeling directly rather than through passive-aggressive behavior. Then care for yourself with the same devotion you show others. Next, create and maintain a home space that feels safe and nurturing. Allow yourself to feel emotions fully, then practice letting them flow through and release. Work with your intuition consciously. Journal about intuitive hits and track their accuracy. Lastly, balance your connection to the past with presence in the now. For everyone, especially during Cancer season, firstly, spend quality time with family or chosen family. Next, create or improve your home environment. Make it more comfortable and nurturing. Then practice emotional honesty and vulnerability with trusted people. Cook nourishing meals for yourself and others. Connect with water, so swim, visit the ocean, take baths. Honor your feelings rather than dismissing or suppressing them. Start a journal or memory book. Reach out to someone who needs care or support. Pay attention to your intuitive feelings about people and situations. And lastly, rest and recharge emotionally. Give yourself permission to retreat when needed. Remember, Cancer energy teaches us that feelings matter, that creating emotional safety is sacred work, and that the courage to feel deeply and care openly is one of the greatest strengths we possess. Cancer, the fourth sign of the zodiac, teaches us about emotional depth, the importance of belonging, and the profound power of nurturing and being nurtured. This cardinal water sign reminds us that emotions aren't weakness, but wisdom, that creating home and family, however we define them, is essential to human thriving, and that sensitivity is a superpower. Whether you have significant Cancer placements or simply want to cultivate more of this energy, the crab offers essential lessons. It shows us that it's it's okay to need emotional security, that caring for others is meaningful work, and that honoring our feelings and intuition guides us toward authentic living. The highest expression of Cancer is the conscious nurturer and emotional healer, someone who creates safe spaces where vulnerability is honored, who tends to emotional wounds with wisdom and compassion, and who reminds us all that we deserve to feel safe, loved, and like we belong. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into Cancer. If you found this valuable, please like, subscribe, and share with anyone who would benefit from understanding this sensitive, protective sign. Drop a comment below sharing your Cancer placements or experiences with this energy. I love hearing from you. But until next time, please keep well, beautiful souls.